last segment is Crowdfunding Corner. We've got 6 games that we're going to go over this week that are ending in the next like 10 days-ish. First up is a game called Monster Kill. This is a print and play game, so you can just pay a few dollars. I can't remember if it was like $5 or something, and just get the digital files. And it looks like it's kind of a dungeon crawl, boss battler is not the right word, but combat game where you are using dice to fight monsters, kind of Gloomhaven style, on these hex grids, and you're tracking everything there on your player sheets. Looks a little intense, to be honest. I think you also get the STL files for the miniatures that they're showing, so that you could 3D print them yourself if you wanted. Click out of this video really quick, Devin. I just want to see if they do have a boxed version, or if they're only selling a print and play version. If you put your mouse where support is and then scroll, it should show the rewards. The core print and play, all in print and play. Yeah, it's just all print and play. You can get their entire game collection. This one's doing pretty well. It's got like $9,000. I guess that's euros backed, but when their goal was, what was that, 215 or something, then
yeah,
they're doing okay over there. So if you like print and play games and you like games like Gloomhaven, this might be one that you would like. That is Monster Kill. It ends on August 1st, so about 7 days there. Next up is a game called Aces and Armor. This is kind of a shorter war game that can be played cooperatively, solo, or competitively. And I thought the cool things about this one, well, there's a few. First, it's supposed to be shorter, easier to learn, and easier to play than most like big war games, which is good. I think it's like 90 to 120 minutes, where a lot of war games can be in like the 4, 5, 6 hour range. So this is much more like David kind of time frame for sure. Even though they look kind of silly, those little damage trackers right there that you can like upgrade your units with experience, and then with your damage there, kind of a nice visual way to keep track of the board state, which I imagine in a war game can be a little tricky. So like, okay, I look over here and I see 15 units, but like how much damage is done to them? Do I need to look at a different board to track that? So kind of cool. You can just track it on these little knobs. You slide these kind of round perler looking pieces that track the damage and experience. So that was another thing that I thought looked pretty cool. And then I think the last thing, shipping is included in the pledge cost, and I think worldwide. So some cool things going for it. It's not incredibly expensive, which a lot of Kickstarters are nowadays. So if you like games kind of in this genre, this one could be a hit for you. I think this company made one before it. If you scroll down a little bit more, Devin, it's right there. Differences from Trench Club in that category there on the left. And I think Trench Club was the game they made before this one, but it was quite a bit longer and more complex. So they tried to take the best parts of Trench Club, put it in a shorter, simpler game. There's a lot of minis, and I think a double-sided board, or maybe even 2 double-sided boards, and different factions you can play as, kind of reenacting World War II battles. So, anyways, cool little campaign there for Aces and Armor. That one also ends on August 1st. Okay, next up is Zoo Tycoon New Shores. This is an expansion to the Zoo Tycoon game that came out a couple years ago, and a reprinting of that game. I think the artwork of this game looks cool, and I loved like Roller Coaster Tycoon, so them actually getting like the Zoo Tycoon license is pretty cool. This game is, it's tricky for me to know. It has a lot of pieces. It's supposed to be pretty complex. And I think in like the all-in pledge, it has 460 animal meeples, which is a little ridiculous, but cool. But I've heard that the game, like the rule book, isn't good. The game's really long. Yeah, it says 2 to 3 hours on the time frame there. So I don't know. I know that the Dice Tower didn't really like the original, so I hope that they've cleaned up some of the issues there. Maybe made like a, I don't know if this is like a second edition or if it's just a straight reprint. If it's a second edition, I hope they've redone the rulebook a little bit, maybe cleaned up a couple of things so that it can be a more solid of a game that deserves an expansion as opposed to a kind of a, yeah, just kind of a mess. But I think visually it looks really cool. There's a lot of pieces in those boxes, but big, expensive boxes with expensive shipping. So this one's not a, I don't think one for David, even though I think visually it looks cooler than Arc Nova. You know, I got Arc Nova on a, not used, I got it sealed, but on a Facebook group for board game exchanges for like $40, where this would be like $250 if I wanted the whole game. But it does look really cool with those like animal meeples and stuff. So want to give it a shout out visually, but I don't know gameplay wise how it how it fares. So that is Zoo Tycoon New Shores. Okay, next up is one called Catacombs, and this is kind of a dungeon crawl, but it's played by flicking your hero discs, and it's supposed to be great. Dice Tower loved it. Shut Up and Sit Down love it. And this is a new expansion called Fortress of Nazemoor and a reprinting of the original game. I think it looks really fun. You kind of have this kind of cardboard fence that you put up around the playmat so that if you like overshoot, they're not flying off the table. But yeah, you flick your discs to kill the monsters and stuff. I don't know much more about it other than it's supposed to be great, and that's a very unique kind of thing. I feel like I like Crokinole because it's more like a sport in that way, where like I've got a defined set of rules. Like, how am I going to? Maybe they have a really elegant way of solving this problem, but if I like barely nick the boss, does that count as it's dead, or is that like half a hit of damage? Like, I don't know. It seems like a game that's trying to be a dungeon crawl like that would have some weird rules exceptions for playing it by flicking, but I'm not sure. It's big, kind of pricey. Shipping's kind of pricey, but again, it's supposed to be really, really great. So that is Catacombs with the new expansion, Fortress of Nazemoor, and you can get all kinds of like add-ons, metal coins, and which I do love. I love me some metal coins. So check that one out. That ends on August 2nd. All right, next up is I think the fourth version of a board game that is very old. I think it came out like the game I think came out like 30 something years ago, but it's Labyrinth the board game, and it's like to coincide with the 40th anniversary of the movie. I don't know that the game is supposed to be that amazing, so I don't know why it continues to get reprinted, but there's probably some niche audience because I think that that movie kind of has a cult following. So people that got the board game around then, it probably has kind of a cult following as well. This is like a huge version of the game. That box is almost a cube because it's so tall.
It's very tall.
So if you've got a lot of space, that would like take up one of my entire Calyx cubes. And some really big pieces. So yeah, I don't know if you've played this game when you were younger and wanted a new, bigger, heavier, more expensive version, then this might be for you. I'll probably watch the movie once a decade, and that'll be enough for me. But I do like that movie. It's silly and weird, but it's pretty fun. So, anyways, that is Labyrinth, the board game. All right, and then last up is Burgle Brothers 3. This is probably Fowers Games' most popular game, Burgle Brothers. And this is the third version. It's a cooperative game where you play as a group like Ocean's 11, kind of like heist group, and you're trying to break in, at least in the original, there are 3 different floors of this, I think, bank or building you're trying to rob, and you have to, on each floor, you have to kind of deactivate the security, open the vault, and get the treasure, and then escape before you are found by the security guards that are wandering around each floor of the building too. It's a pretty fun co-op game because each player gets their own like special character with an ability, and each player takes their own turn. You might be on different floors from each other, but you kind of like help a little bit. I have the first one, Burgle Brothers, and I think it's pretty cool. I need to play it again. It's been quite a few years, but for like a slightly more complex than introductory co-op game, it's a pretty good time. It feels good to win together because it's pretty difficult in my opinion. This third one is like in the future. The setting is it's like a little bit futuristic, and I think the main gameplay difference is you can like put on different disguises that might have some special abilities or help you like sneak past the what are they called, the security guards. So it also has like you can get the first and second version. It has some weird virtual reality like little mini game that you can get as well, but I think most people are there just for Burgle Brothers 3. So yeah, that one's called Burgle Brothers 3 Future Flip. All right, Devin, that is all for Crowdfunding Corner this week. Which of those games would be Devin's pick of the week?
Devin's pick of the week is probably Catacombs, Fortress of Nazemoor.
Yeah, I think that
the flicking
really cool.
game.
Mm-hmm. I like the big.
Yeah, it looks unique.
I like the artwork. It's like a fantasy, but kind of drawn with like jagged lines, and yeah, cool looking game. Mine will probably be Burgle Brothers. I think that's a pretty.
That was my second.
Tried and true, kind of tested series of games. So as long as they don't really mess anything up, I think that one will be a hit with people. It's a lot of people like that co-op game. Okay, that's going to do it for Crowdfunding Corner this week.